All right, hello. So this is the first round of the Connecticut Open tournament, which took place at Bridgeport University on September 20th. And in the first round, I was paired against Sergey Kudrin, who is a grandmaster, and he is actually the first grandmaster that I have ever played in a tournament game, an over-the-board tournament game. So let's get right into the game. So it's a Caro Kann, and it's a knight c3 variation. And after bishop f5, knight g3, bishop g6, h4 is chosen, which is, I believe, the main line. And in this position, h6 is the move that I have prepared. After knight f3, though, I believe that I had prepared knight d7, and in the game I played the move e6. So this is sort of it's not e6 is not a bad move, but it gives white the option of playing knight e5. Whereas if I play knight d7, then that stops knight e5, and on the next move I'll play e6 and develop as normal. So the e6 gives the option of knight e5, which my opponent takes. And now after bishop h7, bishop d3, takes, knight d7, there's the move f4. So this is the benefit of doing things this way. And I wasn't totally sure how to play this position. I have actually looked at the opening book. I've not looked at the machine for these games, but I've looked at the opening book. As I was inputting the games, just to see when the first move out of book is. So I'm going to leave that up here as we're going through because it's very interesting. In this position, I really don't know what the theory says, but I play the top move, bishop e7. Another move that's given here is going bishop b4, check, and then probably dropping the bishop back to e7 there. So bishop e7 is the right way to play. It attacks the h4 pawn. So when I played bishop e7, I was anticipating the move h5. So bishop e7, I was anticipating h5. And then I was thinking that I would be able to develop very nicely from there. My opponent, though, very quickly plays the move bishop d2, which, as it turns out, is the main move. And here, I had not even considered bishop d2. I was, I guess maybe thinking a little too materialistic, but it seemed like taking on h4 would be okay for me. So the main move here is knight takes e5, according to the book, which is the move that I was trying, like, yes, I can play just like knight gf6, but I was scared in the game of maybe not right now, but eventually the move f5, and I didn't feel like I had a very clear way to meet that move. If I take it, then after knight takes, there's a lot of pressure, and also, the f file is going to be open. He might castle short, but also he could castle long and just bring rooks to f1 and e1, and it just felt like a lot of pressure. And if I don't capture, then he can take on e6, and I don't have a way of meeting that really. I was thinking like maybe I would have to play like knight f8, which of course is going to be terrible because it's very passive. So in this position, I really didn't want to just play knight gf6. I'm not saying that f5 immediately is the right thing to do, but it just felt like, okay, he can castle, and then if I ever castle, I'm sort of just walking into f5. So I wanted to do something different than that, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what that would be, because obviously taking on e5 or just taking on h4 straight away, both of these options um, are very scary to play in a position where you don't really know anything and your opponent has very quickly played bishop d2 and your opponent is a grandmaster. So I think for a long time, and the time control in this tournament is game 45 with a 10-second increment, I want to say. So eventually I do convince myself that the best way to play here is to take on e5 and then take on h4. It takes a lot of the time that I have to get here, though. So I take on e5, which is the main move. Bishop takes h4, and castle's long. I realize in this position I need to take the knight on g3, because if I don't, then the knight is going to come into e4 and d6, so the bishop will, best case scenario, if I don't take the knight, is I'm going to play bishop e7 and have to, constantly be worried about knight coming to d6. So I just grab it now, which is the main move. And now g6. So g6 has been played one time in this position. Knight e7 is the main move. And in the game, I was thinking that this might be an interesting way to sacrifice the pawn. Queen takes g7, rook g8, and then, just even, maybe not rook takes g2 immediately, but I'll be able to play like queen d5, castle long. At least I'll be developed. I'll have pressure against G2 and D4, and there's not really weaknesses in my position. So even if I end up being down a pawn, I shouldn't be lost. And actually, it turns out, according to this, I don't know what the computer evaluation is, but according to the the 79 games played, Black is doing scoring reasonably well and a lot of draws. But G6 was played instead, and so now I can take off the book because it's only one game played. And my opponent played Queen f2, which I thought was a good move because essentially my plan to unwind here, because I am up a pawn, right? Like if I can unwind, then I'm up a pawn. It's just very difficult to see how that happens. It needs to be some combination of h5, moving the knight to either h6 or e7, and then playing rook g8 so that I can play knight f5 and not be in this pin because of the move g4. So if my opponent is lazy and plays like a waiting move, like a3 or something, then I think I can play h5, and if the queen moves there, then knight e7, and if g4 there, maybe it's still in time. Maybe my opponent is still in time. Maybe it would take two moves. So this G4 move is the reason that I can't fully unwind, is how I felt at least during the game. Because if I can get three moves, H5, Knight E7, and Rook G8, then I think I'm just a pawn up. Because I'll be able to put the knight on F5, I'll be able to move the queen, castle long, and I'll be able to hopefully eventually consolidate the pawn. Um, but that really never happens. So probably even now, after queen f2, I should already be thinking about, sacrificing this h-pawn. But I think it's probably already tough. Uh, so I play queen d5, which is met, I think, properly with move b3, which sort of, c4 can come. If king b1, I felt that, then maybe I could play like a rook h7, moving castle long. Um, that might be okay for me. But b3 makes it so I can't really do that. So instead I play rook d8, which is sort of giving up castling. I didn't feel good playing this move, but I sort of already felt like my position is very bad. So I don't know. I also didn't have much time as well because I spent it all in the opening. So this game is probably an example of pretty poor time management. But rook d8, rook h4, and after knight e7, I determined that if I am not developing my knight and giving up the pawn, that I'm completely lost. But in this case, my opponent can just take or play c4 first and then take on h6, takes, and I think this is actually busted now because queen f6 is coming, threatening queen h8, and I can't really, my king is stuck on this side of the board. Rook h1 can come. In the game, I play queen c7 to maybe pretend that I'm giving my king a square. Bishop g5 is played, pinning the knight. I played rook d7. Probably at this point, the best is to sacrifice an exchange, but that's also lost. Rook d7, queen f6, rook back to d8, rook h1, and I resign. So I was pretty convincingly taken down in this game, I would say. But I think that the main issue was this opening, and not just not really knowing. I played right here e6, which knight d7 just stops the knight e5 continuation. So I should really play that. After e6, there is the move knight e5, bishop h7, bishop d3. Takes is right, knight d7, and f4, right? So this is what white has achieved because I've played e6 before knight d7. Bishop e7. So the machine here is giving bishop b4 check, bishop e7, even c5 as an option, but the position is already sort of very unpleasant for black, I would say. Um, yeah, maybe it's just allowing this knight e5 is very poor. Um, so bishop e7. Knight h5 is a move that I briefly looked at, but um, I thought maybe I could just take and play bishop f6. Let's take a look at this real quick. Or yeah, here I take with check, g3, bishop f6, and just bishop d2. So this was what I wanted to do if this happened. Bishop d2 was not, I didn't think that it was anything super strong, but I guess just tempo by tempo, um, this is good for white, like queen e7, just castles, or queen b3. If I castle there, I guess it's just all working out somehow. Castles, queen goes to b3, I don't think I would have evaluated this as being so terrible for me versus like what happened in the game. Um, so I wasn't really that worried about knight h5, but bishop d2 is very strong. I was mainly looking at h5 here. Bishop d2, and now I have to go for this thing. So I'm very happy that I did what I did because it is the correct way to play. Knight gf6 is not lost, so knight gf6 is probably the more principled way of playing because it just completes development. But I was just so scared that if I like did something like this and I just tried to develop queen c7, that eventually f5 would come. But I guess f5 doesn't really ever come. Like if f5 here, I can take on e5. So how was I doing this? Why was I concerned? Maybe I was concerned. It's okay. So castle's long queen here, rook. Either rook to e1. Let's try rook he1, and then yeah, something like this. So for example, now my best move is castle, and now f5, and this was a position that I was really scared about. And if I castled the other way, then f5 might even be well. Then there's a fork on f7, so I can't ever castle the other way. So yeah, f5 here, this is what I was concerned about. And I have to play very accurately. I can't take it, and I can't allow, well, I can allow a capture, but I have to allow it like this. So yeah, this felt, this is why I didn't want to play knight f6. That was sort of, I didn't see that exact line, right? Like I didn't see exactly like, okay, I'd go there, castles, queen c7, rook somewhere to e1, but it just felt like the eventual f5 is going to be extremely unpleasant for me. And so in the end, I decide that I just need to take the pawn and hope. But I spent a lot of time coming to that conclusion. So knight takes, f takes, bishop takes h4, castle's long, I have to take on g3, queen takes g3, and now I need to sacrifice the pawn in this manner with knight e7. Sacrificing, trying to hold on to it is just never going to work out. I felt like if I wanted to sacrifice a pawn, I should sacrifice the h-pawn, but really what is more important in this position, as I've come to find, is just develop the pieces, because if I give white too much time, I'm just never going to be able to develop. So g6, I think, is the mistake in this game that I made. Queen f2 I thought was a very nice move, just allowing the g-pawn to move in case I try to develop. Already, I should be playing like rook h7, which actually makes sense. This is sort of an idea I was always looking at, just to defend like this, and then, you know, queen d7 and castle long. I really should try to castle long just to get my king out of here. Instead, queen d5 is another step in the wrong direction. b3 is the correct response. And now, position is very tough. I mean, position is very tough right now. There's not many ways that I can... All the moves are not super obvious. Rook d8 didn't feel right to me, and it turns out, you know, it's not right, but it was already very hard to find a good move. Rook h4 felt fine, and now knight e7 is lost because of c4 and rook takes h6. And I realized, here was where I realized that I was completely busted. Very unfortunate to see. Yeah, I guess I can try to hold on with g5 and knight g6, but it's just, you know, queen c7. My opponent is very strong and found all the best moves until here after rook h1. I just have to resign. So very interesting game. I feel like I didn't go down without a fight, but I probably went down with less of a fight than I should have. And it's really because of this move g6. Um, I mean, if I play knight e7, you know, we can look at this line for a second. Queen takes g7, rook g8, queen takes h6. And now I guess I can even consider taking the pawn, but I was mainly considering, because I did look at this in the game, I just thought that I should hold on to the pawn if I can. But yeah, queen d5 and just castling long is the correct way to do this. I'm hitting g2, I have pressure on d4, I'm fully developed, and you know, I should be able to hold on here. I have full compensation for the pawn that I'm down. So that was the main mistake, and yeah, so it's unfortunate, but that was the first round. Played a Grandmaster. That was my first experience playing one, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the game, and that you'll enjoy the next videos because I'm gonna get these out one every day for the next few days. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.